And hi again, everyone. Welcome to the fifth quarter. We have changed the name, but it's the same great Jay Crawford. Yours truly, Dave DeNatale, as part of our Three Browns podcast series as we look back on the Browns' 31-21 victory over the Houston Texans on Sunday. And Jay, as we start our opening drive, give me your top-line thoughts from that 10-point win on the home opener.
Well, a win is a win, and I know some folks weren't happy with either the point spread or the defense. That's stuff to be taken care of this coming week. You never apologize for a win in the NFL. They have 53 that get paid too. Nothing is easy. Even the lower tier teams can step up and beat anybody on any given week. So it wasn't a blowout. They didn't cover the 12-point spread, which I guess was the biggest spread since the return of Browns football in '99. But look, they get the dub. And here's the crucial thing. Last week, they were in last place looking up at the Ravens and the Steelers. The Steelers and the Bengals. Now everybody in the division is 1-1. You want parity in the NFL? You got it. Through 2 weeks, there are 17 teams, Dino, that are 1-1. There are 7 2-0s, and there are 8 0-2s. So the Browns are pretty much where we expected them to be. Now they got to clean up what they showed us again in week 2 is a mess, and we can talk about more about that coming up.
Yeah, so it's interesting. Yeah, our expectations have grown substantially when it comes down to the Browns, and you know everybody was thinking, okay, it's going to be Houston's terrible. It's going to be a 28-point blowout. It's the NFL, and show up. I hope everybody learned that from yesterday.
Yeah, don't take anybody lightly. There was, I think there was some concern that there.
Go ahead, Jay. Sorry.
You know what? I lost you for a bit. I think I got gobbled up too.
Okay.
Sorry.
No, I was saying we've kind of learned now it's the NFL. Expectations may be high for the Browns, but you still have to go play, and you can't just blow everybody out. That's not practical.
Yeah, not practical, and it's not going to happen. Even the good teams struggle. When I say good teams, I mean top-tier teams. I think the Buccaneers yesterday were supposed to beat the Falcons fairly easily, and for a while that game was a real struggle, even though Brady threw for 5 touchdowns. So you got to bring your work hat and your lunch pail every Sunday, and the Browns have done that so far, and now it's on to week 3.
And it's on to kind of our best takeaways from the game. We call them our touchdowns, of course, and give me your thought on the crucial point. Baker Mayfield is hurt after the interception on the pass to Schwartz, and we don't know if he's coming back in. He comes back in and is no less efficient than he was before, no less courageous than he had been, and kind of inspired everybody as the leader of the team to greater heights, I thought.
Yeah, after the game, I thought Myles Garrett summed it up. He called him Brett Favre 2.0, and that's about as high a praise as you can get when it comes to comparing any current player to a former NFL player. He was the Iron Man in the league. He set a record 297 straight regular season starts. Baker's got a modest 47 straight starts. But here's the deal. You got to be out there. You got to be available. And when he comes out there after having his shoulder pop in and out, and I know it was his non-throwing shoulder, every one of the other players looks at that and says, wow, this guy's gutsy. He's gritty. He's going to lead us to victory. My 2 main touchdowns, Baker Mayfield's efficiency, 19 of 21. He was all about the ones. He threw for a touchdown. He ran for a touchdown. He had 1 interception, and he had 1 incompletion. Because of his 19 of 21, 1 was a pick that, quite honestly, should have been either a catch or an interception. Anthony Schwartz did not make a play on the ball. After the game, head coach Kevin Stefanski said he's a rookie. He will not do that again. He'll see it on film. He'll learn from his mistake. But really, Baker Mayfield was perfect. His efficiency rating is through the charts. 90.4% completion percentage yesterday. And for the season, Dino, he's completing just under 82% of his passes, far and away the best in the NFL. That's the Baker Mayfield we saw at Oklahoma that won the Heisman. Wildly competitive, smart with his throws. That's the guy we're getting. My other touchdown has to be the running game. Through 2 games, the Browns have 7, Dino, 7 rushing touchdowns. That ties a team record for the most rushing touchdowns to start the first 2 games of any season. Also, only one team since the merger, going back to 1970, has ever had more rushing touchdowns in the first 2 games than the Browns 7. The Cowboys had 8 in 1971. So it's a ground and pound offense. It's a highly efficient passing game. And they've had to be that way because really for 2 games now, Baker's been without his 2 biggest wide receiver threats. Hopefully with the injuries, both will be back soon. I just saw a while ago, Jarvis Landry, week to week. So hopefully it's not going to be a major thing with his MCL. They need him back.
Yeah, the fun thing about the touchdown runs you mentioned, it's not just Chubb and Hunt. I mean, Janovich has a touchdown. Landry has a touchdown. Baker has a touchdown. Anybody can have a touchdown run if you're in the Browns' backfield at this point. But that just goes to show how versatile, even in the red zone, the play calling can be. They're not just keeping it vanilla.
We're seeing real early on that Kevin Stefanski is an Andy Reid type offensive genius when it comes to ways to get the football into his best players' hands. He's creative. We're seeing sets that we haven't seen before. We're seeing plays we haven't seen before. And I can assure you, he's got probably a dozen or so that we haven't seen and won't until we get in that critical, close and late situation with the Ravens or the Steelers. He's got a bag of tricks, and it's a lot of fun to watch that offense.
All right. Now, those are a lot of good things. What didn't go right for the Browns are our turnovers here on the 5th quarter. And I'm going to guess one of yours, the defense. Am I right or wrong?
Honestly, that's the main turnover when you look at this Browns football team. And more than that, not just the defense, because I think in stretches, the defense plays really well. Yesterday, again, we saw that they were very stiff on 1st and 2nd down. They are not just horrible on 3rd down this season, Dino. They are the worst 3rd down defense in the NFL, and it's by a pretty wide margin. 63% of the opposition's 3rd downs are converted to 1st downs. And that affects the defense in so many ways. Number one, they're on the field too long. They're tired. You're going to get them late games. If they've been on the field longer than the offense, they're going to be tired. You do not want an exhausted defense if it comes down to the other team has the ball with 2 minutes, they're down a score. So we've got to get better on 3rd down. It's clear where we're most weak. Linebackers is a serious problem. What happened to Myles Garrett yesterday? He was the invisible man. I don't think he showed up in the box score anywhere. No tackles, no assists, no quarterback hurries. We can't have that. We just can't have that. So the defense has to get big plays from its best players, and the linebacking core as a unit has to be better. I was really encouraged with Grant Delpit's debut. He had a nice quarterback sack, separated the quarterback from the football. I'll make a bold statement here, and some people may disagree with this. If Tyrod Taylor hadn't been injured, I'm not sure the Browns win that football game yesterday. They didn't have an answer for him, and it was clear that he hurt the hamstring running into the end zone on that touchdown. But if he's healthy for the whole game, I don't know that the Browns aren't 0-2 right now.
Now, people are going to think I'm kidding. Scratches here to bring up with you about that because I wanted to know. Tyrod was getting rid of the football so quickly.
Yeah.
The Browns weren't getting in there, but they were picking on Denzel Ward, which teams normally don't do, and finding success. I mean, Taylor, it was like he remembered being here in 2018 and remembered, okay, even though the roster has changed, coaches have changed, he felt like he knew the weaknesses of some of his former teammates and exploited them.
Well, you're absolutely right on that. We saw 2 instances early in the game where the Texans needed a conversion. He went right at Denzel Ward on both, and both plays were essentially the same play. Quick slant. Tyrod remembers seeing Denzel in practice, and he knew, what's this guy's weakness? How can I beat him? He's a little soft off the line. He's playing back. He doesn't feel comfortable with bump up front. So what are you going to do? You're going to have the receiver put his foot in the dirt, cut a quick slant, and it's always going to be good for 4 or 5. And if the initial tackle isn't made, that play can turn into a game breaker. So I credit Tyrod Taylor so much for remembering how he was able to beat Denzel Ward when he was going up against him in practice every day for that brief time that he was the number one here in 2018. So Tyrod, don't sleep on this guy. Okay. He's never going to be an elite quarterback in the NFL, but with what he does, he's accurate. He's smart with the ball. He's a great leader, and he's shifty as a runner. I hope for his sake he gets healthy and can put a string of games together for the Texans, because I still believe Tyrod Taylor can be a serviceable starting quarterback in the NFL.
One more turnover question. This is maybe a partial turnover. Did it bother you that going into the fourth quarter, I think Nick Chubb had 9 carries?
Did, yeah. So at the end of the day, his 11 carries for 95 yards, you like one of those numbers, but you don't like the 11 carries. You just don't. There was one drive in the second half where they just decided, and I think this was out of necessity. Baker, I think, totally guessing by the way they switched the game plan. I think the injury was a little more serious than the Browns are letting on. I think Baker was in a lot of pain. And I think out of necessity, look, I know it's his non-throwing shoulder, but when you pull through with that right arm, it still puts pressure on the left arm. So I think out of necessity, they just had him hand off the ball. And you saw them get back to what they are, a running team. And they went between Chubb and Hunt on that one drive. They went right down the field. So you've got to get him more involved. They ran a graphic for his first 3 carries. He had -3 yards. For his next 4, he had 43. You got to feed him. I want to see him at 18 to 20 carries a game. Hunt can pick up the slack. And between their passing game is basically a running game, because there's such high proficiency passes. And when you look at his percentage at 90%, we're averaging 5 yards a rush and 10 yards per Baker pass attempt. How is it we've even punted this year?
Right.
It's astonishing. It really is. This offense is only going to get better, but the defense has to pull their weight. And I think that the storyline for the season is going to be, can the defense keep up with the offense?
Right. Right. To some notables from Monday or yesterday's win over the Texans. How about that video game touchdown by the rookie Demetric Felton, Jay? That was a heck of an effort, and I love that they're figuring out. Last week it was Schwartz getting an opportunity to make some plays, and this week it was Felton. I love the fact that these rookies are getting some opportunities, and for the most part, like Felton, making advantage of it.
He's going to make a lot of guys miss, and he's going to end up, I think, long term being. Are we frozen?
Oh yeah, we got frozen. Okay, let me go back. So
okay.
On our notables, I just want to bring up. I love the fact Demetric Felton's video game style touchdown, and the fact that the Browns are using their rookies on the offense. Last week it was Schwartz who got some playing time, and yesterday it was Felton who came up big with that touchdown, and he's got some moves, and he's got a bright future, it looks like.
He does, and I think long term he's going to be the guy that the Browns look back on this draft and say we might have stolen one there. He was electric at UCLA. We've already seen early on what he can do. He's had a couple of nice kick returns. He's had a couple of nice plays on the offensive side. It's been out of necessity, Dino, that these rookies have gotten some playing time. Obviously, with no OBJ, and then yesterday, after the first play of the game, you've got no Jarvis Landry. You got to put somebody in there, and the rookies have been able to step up and make notable contributions. So I think, yeah, he's definitely a notable. One of the things I wanted to touch on, it was a shame. It was Jarvis Landry's first time in 112 games that he didn't have at least 2 catches. And it's horrible because it's the 4th longest streak in NFL history. And he had a serious chance, if he could have stayed healthy, to try to break that thing. But, catching the first ball of the game and then coming out with injury, that streak was obviously snapped. And that's a shame, because I think he had a shot. And not that records are important to these guys, but it would have been nice to get that, because he's been a guy that you can count on for multiple catches every game for his entire career.
Well, any other takeaways, like notable takeaways? I mean, you mentioned Delpit earlier. I thought, finally getting his first NFL game action, in a regular season game, a little bumpy at first, but then, came up and obviously he's got a nose for the quarterback and made some nice hits.
Yeah, he did. And I think we're really going to like this kid. And you never want to see a rookie lose his entire year to injury, but it's almost like you had a high draft pick in last year's draft. This is the first that we've seen him. So he's essentially a rookie for us. And I think that the defense is going to be really happy with the contributions that he can make. There's going to be some bumps in the road on this defense. One of the things that I was thinking last night when I was watching Kansas City and Baltimore is, oh my God, what is going to happen when Lamar Jackson goes up against this defense? It's going to be like 11 humans trying to chase a greased cat. It's just, this guy is so elusive and he's really maturing with his decision making. Couldn't believe that they went for it on 4th and 1 last night with the game in the balance. They don't get it. They're basically giving Kansas City field goal range to win at the end of regulation. But now they're at the point, I think, where they trust in Lamar. They knew it was a yard. They knew he was going to get it, and they did. So that defense is going to be very, very scary when they have to stop Lamar Jackson. It's going to be a big number, I think, that the Browns offense will have to put up to win.
Yeah, and as we wrap up the show with our 2-minute drill, I just to stay with the Ravens, and then I want to get to the next Browns game. Do we maybe underestimate the Ravens a little bit because of all the running back injuries? Are they still, to you, the best team in the AFC North until the Browns, show that they can beat them?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No question. They're the team to beat in the AFC North. I think Pittsburgh kind of showed who they are last night. They're going to be a very good team. They could be a 9, 10, 11 win team, but I still think that the Ravens are the class of the division with the Browns. This team is that they easily could be and should be 2-0. Remember their opener against the Raiders at one point. It looked like a fait accompli that the Ravens were going to be able to win that football game, and they end up losing in overtime. So, they're going to be the team that everyone's going to have to chase in this division. As long as Lamar Jackson is healthy and on the field, I don't care who their running backs are. I don't care who their wide receivers are. As long as he's healthy, they are a viable threat to win the AFC. They beat last night the class of the AFC. So in my mind, you've got, with an asterisk, you've got Kansas City, Baltimore, and a slight 1B, the Cleveland Browns. And you got to throw the Buffalo Bills in there because I know they lost their opener too, but they bounced back in a big way yesterday. So I think it's those 4 and then everybody else in the AFC.
Browns will host the Bears on Sunday, and it's either going to be the injured graybeard Andy Dalton or Justin Fields, old Buckeye friend at quarterback. And either way, you're going to have you better get ready defensively. You got to play better than you did last week. But it'll be interesting to see what happens in the Windy City this week here as they get ready for the Browns.
Yeah, I'll make a bold prediction here. No intel. I haven't talked to anybody in Chicago. I've just been reading the tea leaves. He has been mesmerizing the coaching staff and the opposing defense, Justin Fields, in practice with unbelievable. He's the only guy that can make that kind of type plays. It's only a matter of time. You can't keep this Godzilla in the cage forever. Andy Dalton is what he is. We know what he is. If you look at the passing stats in the NFL for 2021, he's way down at the bottom of the list. Yes, they did get the win over the Bengals, and I think that helps the case to come back with Dalton. But if you're going to start Justin Fields, you want to do it against a defense that has clearly struggled against running quarterbacks. Let's take a look at what the Browns did in week 1 against Kansas City. Let's take a look at what they did on yesterday when they were trying to stop Tyrod Taylor for the half he was in there. If I'm Nagy, I'm looking at the game film from the first 2, and I'm saying there's never going to be a better time to throw this kid out there. It's going to be, the Browns are going to score points. They can try to make it a shootout. I don't think they can compete with the Browns with Andy Dalton in a shootout. I think with Justin Fields, they got a puncher's chance. And this kid's the future. You've got other rookie quarterbacks that were taken after him that are already leading offenses for better or worse. Take his lumps. Remember, it was Baker Mayfield's 3rd game because of injury, but it was game number 3 where he came in, lit the place on fire, and the rest is history. So I'm hoping that the Browns see Andy Dalton, but I'm guessing we're going to see Justin Fields, and I hope they're ready for him.
All right. Jay, Thank you, my friend. We'll see you later on today at 5 o'clock for What's New, and we'll look forward to talking to you next week, my man.
All right, Dino, we'll see you soon.
All right, thanks everybody for watching. Fifth quarter right here, part of our 3 Browns series on WKYC.com.